Our gathering song this morning is In This House by Mamuse. Some of you know it, some of you have the words, the rest of you are encouraged to pick up and come along as you can, and we'll sing it through twice. In this house we lead with love. In this house we lift each other up. In this house we learn to fly with the dove. Oh, this is the house we've been dreaming of. Oh, this is the house we've been dreaming of. So come on over. Come on, welcome in. Come on over. Let's be friends. Come on over. There is enough. Oh, this is the house we've been dreaming of. Oh, this is the house we've been dreaming of. In this house we lead with love. In this house we lift each other up. In this house we learn to fly with the dove. Oh, this is the house we've been dreaming of. Oh, this is the house we've been dreaming of. So come on over. Come on over. Welcome in. Welcome in. Come on over. Come on over. Let's be friends. Let's be friends. Come on over. CVUUS acknowledges that we meet on the unceded land of the Western Abenaki people. This weekend up in Lincoln at the Sunray Peace Village, they're having a program entitled 42nd Annual Native American Elders and Youth Gathering. I don't know, has anyone here had a chance to go up there? Does anybody know more about it than I do? Because I know nothing about it. I found out about it on Friday and was sorry that I was not able to move my plans around to be a part of it. It is a way, I think, of reminding myself and ourselves that there are opportunities to connect with the people and cultures indigenous to this land from before European conquest. I, for one, need to remind myself to avail myself of those opportunities. I hope you do too. My name is Jordan Young. I use they, them pronouns. I'm the worship associate for our service today. Our summer theme is Living Our Values, Living with Integrity. And for those of you who are new and visiting us for the first time, welcome. Our summer services are less formal than our services during the year. Services always vary, so as I love to say, if you like what you see today, come back next week, it will be different. For our summer services, we gather members of our own community and folks from beyond the community to help us explore our theme. Today's speaker is Deb Weiner, an old friend. She uses she, her pronouns. She is a transition ministry consultant and is currently the Transitional Director of Faith Formation at the UU Church in Sherborn, Mass. And if you want to know what that means, you need to talk to her after the service at social hour. I know her as someone who is deeply committed to Unitarian Universalist values, both in her personal and professional lives. She has worked and spoken all over the country to different congregations as they attempt to sort of deepen their connection to our faith. We are lucky to have her with us today, and I look forward to her sharing. She lives in Lexington, Massachusetts with her husband, Ben, who is with us, and I describe them as two young-ish adults, both of whom she is proud to say are Unitarian Universalists, something that a number of us have not necessarily succeeded in doing with our children, but we're working on it. Each week we take the opportunity to recognize one of the many groups at CVUUS who bring this place together and make it happen. And this week I'd like to point out the efforts of the Landscaping Committee, of whom there are a fair number, only one of whom, sadly, I know by name, and she's not here. So I don't have to mention her and leave somebody else out. I knew they have been doing a lot of work, both in terms of putting together the landscaping around this building and maintaining it. For those of you who have been here a long time, you may remember what this building looked like when we moved in, which is like there was nothing around the outside. And I was looking at one of the old pictures, and it really struck me at how different it is now. Scott? No, because if I do, I will leave some of them out, and that will be a bad thing. We're not organized enough to actually have lists of like who's on which team and who does what. Oh, that would be a good thing. We can aspire. I'm sorry? Yes. Yes, thank you. That was... And she is assisted by others, but she is the stalwart who's always at this. And they have now had the good fortune to have Johnny, who is also a member, helping them out in a professional capacity. So I think they've got a little more capacity now to do some things that they couldn't necessarily do before. So that is one of the many things that makes this place come together. In the back of the sanctuary, for those of you who don't know, there are yellow cards. If you have a joy or a concern or a milestone or a passage that you'd like to share with the congregation here from the pulpit, you can fill one of those out and put it in the offering basket when that comes around. There are also blue cards in the lobby, which will get you on the mailing list, and there are pink cards if you want to be connected to the Caring Network, if you have a pastoral concern of that nature. So I think with that bit of business out of the way, we can light our chalice. Deb, will you light the chalice? Thank you. Well, the rest of you will hopefully join me in the words that are printed in the order of service. We light this chalice in these uncertain times. May its steady flame remind us that transformation is slow and steady work, and its ever-changing flame remind us that the work before us is ever-changing as well.
Hi, everyone. As Jordan said, my name is Deb, and I use she, her pronouns, and I'm really excited to be here with you. And I've already learned something new because you have this very cool gizmo that I had never seen that lights stuff, and I did it, and I love it. Thank you. So, friends, our opening words this morning come from Nathan Ryan. Be it real or metaphor, whatever is in your backpack or your briefcase or your purse that you've brought into this sanctuary that is weighing you down, leave it behind. Whatever you are carrying that is keeping you distracted or caught up in shame or guilt or hopelessness, leave it behind. If you need it, it will be there when we're done. But for this hour, just let it go. Come into this place with open hearts. Come into this place with a soul that has remembered how to be tender again. Come into this place with a renewed hope for this world. Come into this place ready to build a world we've always been worthy of and have always dreamed of. So may it be for us. I invite you now to rise in body or spirit and join in singing For All That Is Our Life. That is number 128 in the gray hymnal. Well, I have a story for you, and I want to invite our children and youth, or those who feel a little youngish today, to come on up if you would like to join us for this story. And for the rest of you, pay attention. Once upon a time, long ago, or maybe just last week, there was an emperor who needed a new set of clothes to wear in a grand parade. He called on two of his finest cloth weavers to make him these clothes and thought they might be able to profit from this amazing job. "Oh, Emperor," one said, "we have invented the most marvelous cloth. It'll cost you a little extra, but it is magic. It's so magic that people can't see it if they are ignorant or if they are lazy or if they're not good at their jobs. So not only will your majesty look your absolute royal best, you will also be able to tell immediately who you should fire from their jobs and how you should rule this land, or maybe even who should fly in your new airplane." The emperor thought, "I've been wondering who those people are, trying to figure out who can help me stay powerful. I'll take it," he said. Off went the weavers to work. Oh, but they were slow. The emperor sent in one of his wisest advisors to check on the progress. When he got there, he saw that two of the weavers were doing nothing at all. It looked like they were waving their hands back and forth in front of their loom, but there was no cloth coming out. Still, he didn't want the emperor to think that he was dumb or lazy, so he rushed back and said, "It's amazing and beautiful. You'll love it." The emperor was pleased, for he knew that he would look magnificent and thought that this would make people adore him. Finally, the day arrived, and the weavers brought the suit in to the emperor to try on. Well, the emperor wondered about how he looked. What do you think? Pretty great, isn't it? But he felt a little wave of panic. Oh no! Am I one of the dumb, lazy people? Why can't I see the suit? He couldn't say that out loud, so he asked his advisors to help put it on. He felt embarrassed when he looked in the mirror because it looked like he was wearing nothing at all. But the weavers pulled here and creased there, and then they oohed and they ahed, and they admired how wonderful it looked on him, and they told him so over and over again, and the emperor believed them. Then it was time for the grand parade. I think it was on June 14th. And the emperor's big entrance into the city. The emperor had planned a huge celebration for himself. Everyone cheered loudly for the acrobats and the dancers and the horses. And then out came the emperor, completely naked. Everyone got really quiet. And then someone said, "Huzzah for the emperor." And another person said, "He looks like a new person." But one young child who was very smart looked and said, "He's not wearing any clothes." And maybe a couple of people laughed a little because now they knew that they were not the only ones. And so a couple of people agreed and said, "Yes, we don't see it either." Everyone was looking around at everyone else. And when they realized they were not alone, they got a little braver. And eventually, almost everyone agreed that just as that child had said, the emperor wasn't wearing any clothes at all. And the parade and the music and the dancing suddenly stopped. There were still people who would not admit that they had been fooled or made a mistake. But most of the people were able to laugh at themselves a little bit. They realized that it was okay to admit that they didn't know everything and to ask questions, even if it didn't match what everyone else was saying. Now, I wonder what you might have done if you were watching that parade. I wonder if there's ever been a time when you knew that something was wrong, even though other people thought it was just fine. And I wonder what it takes to have the courage to say something, even if no one else is. And I wonder about how we understand truth and imagination. Well, I'll leave you with those wonderings as we move on with our service today. And I know that our children and youth will now move on to their activities for the day as well.
Well, it is summertime. I appreciate that all of you have taken a sunny summer Sunday morning to be here. And even though there's a million things going on all around, things are still going on at CVUUS as well. So I would remind you that the outdoorsy gals are still meeting and doing outings, and I don't see Susie Patterson, but if she's on a hike. And if you'd like to get in touch with them, find one of us after the service and we can give you her email. The Let's Eat Together group, which gets together on the fourth Tuesday of the month at Eastview over on the west side of town, because they look east, I guess. Fourth Tuesday of the month at noon. They get together for lunch, and everyone is invited. So that is happening this coming Tuesday, which, if I did my math right, is the fourth Tuesday. Down in the fellowship hall, the Nebuzun Water is Life art display is still there, and it's another way, if you haven't informed yourself about the relationship of some of the native peoples here to water and water in this area, it makes for some pretty good reading during social hour, if you're one of those people like me who occasionally doesn't want to be inveterately social. Reverend Michael, our new settled minister, starts in August. Expect to see them participating in the service, but not preaching until September. But you hopefully will see them in the coming weeks. For pastoral concerns beyond what you want to have addressed on a pink card, Reverend Christina, who was one of our interim ministers, is still on call for the coming week, and you can email her at revchristina@cvuus.org. This morning, you have an opportunity to make a difference. We talk a lot about social action, and we talk a lot about just the manifold wrongs that many of us see in the world today. There is a young woman named Dandelion who is incarcerated in Florida, and she is at risk of the death penalty. She and her friends and allies have determined that public action may be helpful for her situation, and you can find out more at the table in the lobby. There are a couple of simple things that each of us can do, which as pebbles in a stream will hopefully move the needle and get her to a better place. So please avail yourself of that opportunity after the service. This is the moment for our offering in the service. It is a moment for us to collect the resources that help support the life and work of this congregation. It's also something that we share with a community organization each month. This month we're sharing our plate with the Festival on the Green. Many of you may have gone to Festival on the Green last week. I was out of town, so did not have a chance to do that. Festival of the Green does a whole lot more than just put music on for 1 week a year. It's an organization that brings a lot of people together, brings people to Middlebury, and really creates sort of part of the soul of our community. So for Festival on the Green and for this congregation, I urge you to be as generous as you are able. This morning's offering will now be received. I invite you to rise and sing From You I Receive, and take a look at the people around you who have been so generous. This is the moment in our service when we share milestones and passages from our congregation. I have a yellow card today from Ashley Caldwell. Please keep my Caldwell family in your thoughts and prayers as we sit and sing with my brother Mike as he moves to the other side, his words. Throughout his life in architecture, music, reading, writing, teaching, and with his family and friends, he has manifested a unique blend of low comedy and high endeavor. There are always other joys and concerns that we hold in our hearts together. And after Deb leads us into a time of meditation, we'll have some silence to sit with those.
Friends, as we enter this time of meditation and prayer, I also want to lift up our hearts and our thoughts toward the good people who were gathered at a Pride festival in Berlin, Germany, and who were attacked yesterday. May our love and our support go with them as well. In this familiar place, listen to the sounds of breathing, creaking chairs, shuffling feet, clearing throats, and silence all around. Know that each breath, movement, the glance meant for you or intercepted holds a life within it. These are signs that we choose to be in this company. We have things to say to each other, things not yet said, but in each other's presence still. Trembling behind our hearts' doors. These doors are closed, but unlocked. Each silent thing waits on the threshold between unknowing and knowing, between being hidden and being known. Listen, rejoice, and say amen. Let us rest for a moment in the quiet.
Our reading today is from Useful Delusions, The Power and Paradox of the Self-Deceiving Brain by Shankar Vedantam and Bill Messler. Believing what we want to believe and seeing what we want to see is less a state of mind or a reflection of one's intelligence and more a response to one's circumstances. Foregoing self-deception isn't a mark of education or enlightenment, it's a sign of privilege. If you don't believe in Santa Claus or the virgin birth, it's because your life does not depend on you believing such things. Your material, cultural, and social worlds are providing you with other safety nets for your psychological and physical needs. But should your circumstances change for the worse, with the pillars of your life to buckle and sway, your mind, too, would prove fertile ground for the wildest self-deceptions. There are, as we say, no atheists in foxholes.
I want to thank Kate Gridley for her beautiful music today. Thank you so much. My father-in-law, Dick Soule, father of that person, was a colorful character who had many funny sayings in his lexicon. Wake up, they're moving the outhouse. Drive fast, the roads are covered with drunks. And sometimes, when I was trying to have a discussion or debate with him about some important element, he would erupt with, "Don't bother me with the facts, I've made up my mind." That was usually followed by him slamming a fist down, and that was the end of the discussion. Now, perhaps you have also run into that kind of brick wall, human or otherwise, as you tried to present someone with reason, intellect, or data during an emotional discussion. And you found out that, nope, they were just not interested in going to that place. Another story comes to mind. When I was growing up, my father, a social worker and a very smart guy, tended to say yes to me more than no. A good idea, he felt, if I could provide logic and reason for why I wanted to do something. If I made my case well enough, I got the green light. If I wanted to do something just because, like because all the other kids get to, there might be a yellow light or a red one. I tried to pass this mode of reasoning on to my own kids, and in general, I think that there should be sensibility about why we want to do or not do something. We want to do it because it's good for all of us, for instance, or because others will benefit from the decision, rather than just because I want to, or because all the cool kids are doing it. But sometimes, too often these days, we get swept up in a tide of misinformation that can take us into a world of believing and advocating for something that isn't really true. Something that is built on a house of cards. Something or someone that can be destructive or that might not help us in the end. Perhaps, as we have watched some of the recent struggles going on around the capture of the leader of Venezuela some months ago, which was explained by the president as having occurred because we want peace on earth, you might have seen examples of the same behavior. Although we might not want to think so, cults of personality have always been around. Some might suggest that Jesus had one surrounding him, as have other charismatic leaders or people who have managed to garner a certain amount of notoriety for what they have said or done. Sometimes that makes total sense. Here in New England, we like to celebrate patriots. So let me just acknowledge that historical figures like George Washington, who was respected for his leadership, or John Adams, who was, by all accounts, a brilliant but pretty prickly character, were admired for their commitment to what they saw as values that would sustain the nascent American society. Today, you can undoubtedly think of some others who might go into this bucket of inspiring charismatic leaders who have garnered followers to advance their perspectives. Malala Yousafzai, Greta Thunberg, former U.S. Representative Liz Cheney, and Reverend William Barber come to my mind in today's society. What about people who attract attention and soon a cult of personality develops around them with negative consequence? There are examples ranging from the current occupant of the White House and his friend, blogger Laura Loomer, to Jim Jones, he of the People's Temple and Jonestown Massacre, or perhaps Benito Mussolini, who founded Italy's National Fascist Party in the 1930s and 40s. Despite the reality of evidence that was available about the damage that could be experienced from following the words and path laid out by such folk, people were willing to support the direction that was articulated. In the case of at least some, with catastrophic results. Now, it is surely true that at least some of us search for transformative and even charismatic leadership in our time. We look for a person who can turn things around, lay out a new direction that will be better than the one we are headed in now, or give us some hope of a brighter future. Again, think of the election of a young and engaging Democratic socialist as the mayor of New York City, as one example, or the large numbers of younger, creative individuals, some of them Unitarian Universalists, by the way, who have entered political races now to try to turn things around as examples. Now, I should add that the same thing happens in churches. Beware this story. There is a real thing called the new Messiah syndrome. It's a familiar story when a congregation is in search for a new minister to help lead them forward. You might imagine the scenario. It's been a really tough go. A time of transition has occurred, and finally, the search team announces, like when white smoke goes up the chimney at the Vatican, that a new leader has been identified. In UU churches, as most of you know, a candidating week occurs. The new leader appears. The people fall in love with the new leader. Well, we hope so. And they vote to call them to officially lead. And the person is pretty much crowned emperor, wherein people fall down in delirious excitement, ready to follow the path of the leader wherever they may go. They are the new Messiah. And of course, inevitably, reality strikes somewhere down the line. The new leader does something that maybe isn't so very popular with everyone in the church, or insults a pillar of the congregation who is really put off that they aren't being respected as they think they should, or does something differently than the way that beloved, now retired Reverend Dogood would have handled it. Disillusion, anger, and resentment build. And all too often, that person who was ushered into a ministry with trumpets sounding and hallelujahs all around not so long ago is now shown the door. It's a cautionary tale, but one that illustrates what can happen when those who are asked to lead come up against the realities of a situation, or perhaps facts and data that begin to show us another picture of what is really going on. As Shankar Vedantam says in his book, Useful Delusions, if the forces of logic and rationality often seem ineffective at fighting superstition, delusion, and conspiracy theories, it's because the new city of Rome speaks a different language than the old city of Rome. The two cities have different value systems. They have different ways of knowing. When the rational brain claims to have all the answers, it often ends up being misunderstood, undermined, or ignored. Co-create a world that produces the best in human beings, Vedantam argues. For we must certainly be informed by reason, rationality, and science, but we must also deploy the insights of logic using aspects of our minds that are prone to storytelling, symbols, and self-deception. People tend to rely on myth, allegory, and story to help us make sense of what we don't understand. And we hold on to those stories and make them into truths about what should be and what is taken as factual. But shouldn't we try and understand why we believe certain stories, particular myths, and also in believing what it gets us? We are, Vedantam says, not just in a war with con artists, conspiracy theorists, and demagogues. We are in a war with ourselves. Our minds are not designed to see the truth, but to show us selective slices of reality and to prompt us toward predetermined goals. So when we talk about a big lie, for instance, the idea that the Holocaust did not really happen, or Donald Trump's claim of a stolen election, or heaven save us, the idea that vaccines implant microchips in us for tracking by others, we are calling out the illusions that people have held, despite data, statistics, and evidence to the contrary, that what seems true is not so. Sometimes this occurs because of isolation from direct access to evidence, and sometimes because the position we hold helps us make sense of what we cannot otherwise explain. My beloved spouse calls this willful ignorance, a way in which, despite everything we know or observe, we hold on to some other truth that will advance a position that fits better with how we see the world. When I was studying American drama, one of the plays I found powerful was Arthur Miller's 1953 allegory, The Crucible. I imagine a number of you know it. It's a play about the Salem witch trials that occurred in 1692 and 1693. The settlers of Salem and the surrounding communities had been living as God-fearing people in isolated life. Mass hysteria took hold as people, many of them women, were accused of speaking in tongues, causing phenomena to occur, or not following accepted religious practice. Dozens died, and this piece of history has become an emblematic illustration of the dangers of religious extremism, false accusations, and lack of due process. Miller wrote the play, however, as a parable about the mass hysteria which was rampant in the United States in the late 1940s and 50s. During that time, the United States was obsessed with the evils of communism and set out through its House Committee on Un-American Activities and later through the campaigns of U.S. Senator Joseph McCarthy of Wisconsin to name and purge all who supported socialism or communism. It was a dark time in U.S. history and culture as the other was rooted out, and one which has been echoed in recent years through the relentless pursuit of immigrants to this country who were sought out by ICE and deported, or the determination to scrub DEI from museums, schools, and institutions as a woke scam. What does our own brain tell us about what we know and what is true? And how do those elements shape how we as individuals behave in communities like religious ones, like this one maybe? My view is that one of the central conundrums currently facing Unitarian Universalism is the challenge between who and what we say we are and how we behave and understand ourselves. We say that we are an association of congregations drawn together through our churches. Our governance has delegates who vote as representatives of their member congregations on policies and statements made on behalf of our faith community. We exist in these congregations, many of whom recite a unison affirmation or profession of faith, which in some traditions is called a covenant. And in a lot of churches, there's also a behavioral covenant, a statement developed by and with the community that articulates how we will be with one another and how we will behave for the benefit of all in the community. And yet, we almost always seem to behave as individuals who happen to exist within the container of a congregation. We are members here, but our view is focused on what I, as an individual, want, not on what will be in the best interest of the congregation as a whole. And this disconnect shows up more commonly in other ways. A congregation that professes to welcome all finds that living out that welcome is sometimes challenging because there are people coming in the door who don't look like or act like or sound like some of us. How do we connect our articulation of identity and belief with our actions? This is tough stuff, friends. Years ago, Reverend Sue Phillips, who formerly served the UUA's New England region as its lead minister, told the members of a New England congregation, "Shocking as it may seem, the minister is not here to make you happy. They are here to serve the congregation." I was in the room at that time, and I remember that there were audible gasps in the room. It was a true shock for some people who were focused on what I want and what will make me happy, or at least happier. And this paradox is another way in which what we want to believe and what we expect can turn into a rationale for what we then imagine to be true. So of course the minister or religious educator or music director or office manager should do this thing that I want because deep inside they are here to make me happy. And because I need it, I believe that everyone else needs it in just that same way too. So please do it now, and we'll all be good, and I'll be happy. This is a rationale for action that is invented. As we have done with stories since language began here on earth, a narrative is created to explain what we want to know or understand. We develop logic for the story, we share it with others, and often it takes hold. Others believe the same thing, or they decide it's a really good idea. And for sure, sometimes it is. Sometimes it's only good for one person or a clear minority. So, what are we to do when we are faced with the ultimate unanswerable questions? The ones about how we understand death and whether immortality or resurrection exists. This struggle, which philosopher Stephen Cave calls the mortality paradox, lays out the reality that we will one day die. Yet we humans cannot really imagine being dead. And on the other side, Cave suggests, are the immortality narratives. First, the belief that through fountains of youth, elixirs, or special powers, we can extend life. Adam in Genesis lived to the very ripe age of 930 years. Others have been able to choose their own death or make life continue. It is the power of myth. Or there is the immortality that comes from other religions, that of resurrection. Here we live on or live again. The resurrection of Jesus is central to Christian faiths, and others, Jewish and Muslim, for instance, tell stories of a future day when true believers will be resurrected in the afterlife. Think of Scrooge in A Christmas Carol, who gets a do-over. Sleeping Beauty, who goes to sleep for a very long time and then awakens. The Egyptians of ancient times, who believed that the pharaohs like Ramesses II would reign in the afterlife. Whether you hold these beliefs and adhere to these stories that may bring you comfort, or choose to follow statistics and science and assert that life is for the here and now, we tend to seek the narratives that will help to answer the unknown. That is, at its core, what much of religion is here for, I think, to help us struggle with the questions of the world and of our lives that we just don't understand. But this question remains. What can we explain, or what do we embrace through data, rational processes, and observation? And what do we decide to explain away through wish, hope, or prayer? Each of us will have our own answers to these queries. Knowing and unknowing can be both a blessing and a curse, whether your eyes remain wide open or you choose to blink. May the answers that you most need become clear for you. So may it be. Friends, I invite you now to rise in body or spirit and sing Filled with Loving Kindness. It is in the Teal Book, number 1031.
With me in our words printed in the order of service as we extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, remembering always to keep love at the center. And after the benediction and postlude, please join us downstairs for fellowship.
My friends, I leave you with these words. Life is short, and we have little time to gladden the hearts of those who travel with us. So I pray you, be swift to love and hasten to be kind, knowing that love travels with us wherever we go. Amen, and blessed be.